Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this presentation by the League of Women Voters and the Ventura County Star. Tonight we're going to have a candidates debate between the two candidates for Ventura County Supervisor in District 2. I'm David Marin, a member of the League of Women Voters and the moderator for this evening. A couple of ground rules as far as the candidates. They have not seen any questions in advance. We are going to do 1.5 minutes for opening statements. At the end of the evening, we'll reverse that. We're delighted to have Kathleen Wilson from the Star as one of the questioners, and then we'll be taking the cards from you. If you have not, or you want to ask a question, raise your hand. We'll bring you a card, give you a pencil, and you can submit a question. With that, I'd like to introduce the President of the League of Women Voters, Kathy Morgan.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 after the passage of the 19th Amendment, which granted the right to vote to women in the United States. It was founded with the purpose of educating this new group of voters, women, on the mechanics of voting, how to get registered, about getting information out to these women so they could make informed choices. And we continue with this mission today. Our mission statement is empowering voters and defending democracy. We like to believe that we help empower voters by hosting voter registration drives, by providing candidate forums such as this and getting out information, fair, unbiased information to the voters. We are a nonpartisan, grassroots organization, and we strive to be balanced in the presentations that we give. We hope that you will get the information you need tonight to make an informed choice when you vote, and we're very happy to have you here. I am going to, at this time, we're very pleased to be co-sponsoring this evening with the Ventura County Star, and we are very happy that they are our partners in collaborating on this forum. And at this time, I would like to introduce Stacey Galang, the news director of the Ventura County Star, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight. My name is Stacey Galang. I'm the news director of the Ventura County Star, and we're pleased to be here, and we're so thankful to the League of Women Voters for their help in organizing tonight's event. Thanks also to the City of Thousand Oaks, to our candidates, and to the voters of Ventura County for participating. We at the Ventura County Star are celebrating 98 years. We're nearly 100 years as your daily newspaper in Ventura County, so we're so pleased to be a part of tonight's event. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our Star reporter here, Kathleen Wilson. She's been with the Star since June of 1990, and for the past 20 years, she has covered county government and politics. I get to see her every day in the newsroom, and I get to see how she interacts with folks on the phone, and you're in for a treat tonight, so thank you so much for having us here. Thanks, Kathleen, and thank you, Dave.
Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. So earlier we randomly drew numbers as far as who will go first on the opening statements and closing statements. At this time we'll begin with our first candidate, Claudia de la Pena. We have a timer up front for them, so we'll be cutting them off if they go past that. Whenever you're ready, Claudia, please begin.
I am Claudia de la Pena, and I am the only candidate for supervisor in this race who does not take money from big oil or developers, the only one. I'm running for Okay, do I get to say that again?
Go ahead, we'll reset and start over there. A little technical thing. 90 seconds. Okay.
Thank you.
When you're ready.
All right, my name is Claudia de la Pena, and I am the only candidate in this race for supervisor who does not take a dime, nothing, from big oil or developers. The only candidate in this race. And I'm running for supervisor because I am the only one with the necessary experience and knowledge and the leadership in this home, your home, to get things done. And in terms of getting things done, I want to mention that today, for the first time in city's history, we broke ground on the first permanent supportive housing facility with wraparound services. 77 units will be home to many of our unsheltered residents here at the beginning of next year. Now, when I say I want to get something done about homelessness, I am doing it. And I was able to do that in cooperation with my colleagues, with other agencies. It took a village and perseverance to do that, and we are making strides in that regard. Now, I have been on the Thousand Oaks City Council 20 years, 4 times as mayor. I have a master's degree in public administration. I am an Emmy Award winner in my 25-year career as a journalist. I'm the Chamber's Woman of the Year. I'm married to Dr. Rondella Pena, sitting here in front of me for 28 years. We've lived here in the Conejo Valley for 27 years, and our twin sons are seniors at Westlake High School.
Thank you, Claudia. Your time is
That's
up.
it? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
That's how it works. And now we'll go on to our next candidate, Jeff Garrell.
Thank you. It's an honor. I appreciate the League and the Star for hosting this. It's great to be with you this evening. I'm honored to run for Supervisor in the 2nd District where I've lived for more than 20 years, a place that I just love to call home. And I'm excited about the opportunity to bring the leadership and experience that I've collected and earned in the last number of years to bear to lead this county in the right direction on the issues that I think Ventura County residents care most about. The experience that I've had, I think, allows me to be a leader. I served as a California state legislator representing this community for 4 years. Prior to that, I was a deputy district attorney, a criminal prosecutor for 7.5 years for Ventura County, and then a small business owner where I actually employed people and I worked with other businesses to help them succeed in the state of California and the county of Ventura. I took a job down in Los Angeles and commuted back and forth, serving as the deputy mayor of the 2nd largest city, overseeing homelessness and public safety, trying to defend and protect critical infrastructure like LAX, the port, cybersecurity, the water infrastructure, the electrical grid, things that are very important. I taught at Cal Lutheran University for 7 years and taught hundreds of students there, students that are now out running philanthropies and serving in government. I taught them public policy, and I taught them governance. And most importantly, I think, is I served for 23 years in the United States Navy. I'm a captain in the Navy. But I'm fighting for public safety, to end homelessness, and to address the small businesses that are leaving this community and need our support. Thank you.
There. Hold the applause, please. Please hold the applause. But I'm going to reward both of them with the bigger bottle of water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay? Save the League. We're trying to do everything. Go ahead, Kathleen.
I think this seat, one of you will take this seat in January, and it's the first time that the seat is turning over in 20 years. And so I would like to ask you, what do you think is the biggest problem in Ventura County, and how do you plan to address it once you're in office?
Jeff, you're up first.
Okay, thank you. There are a number that are almost tied. Public safety, homelessness, support for our small business, our job creators, these are all tied. If I had to pick one of them, and it sounds like you're asking me to do that, I would suggest that public safety. When I worked in the DA's office, we used to have a number of the smallest safe cities in America, but due to the failure of the Board of Supervisors and some of our city council members, we have lost that edge. And many people I've talked to, they say they just don't feel safe at home in their living rooms in the Conejo anymore like they used to. There are brazen break-ins from international gangs that are going in and stealing things that you didn't have before. We have catalytic converters that are stolen off the bottom of vehicles right in the middle of the daytime, just brazen acts of crimes that take place in our neighborhoods. Fentanyl is out there in large quantities, and it's killing people, and it's addicting those in our homeless encampments and others, and it's a huge threat, fentanyl. And unfortunately, I believe that not enough has been done at the county level, but we have an opportunity to change that now and to focus on that. I'm endorsed by the Deputy Sheriff's Association, by the firefighters here in Ventura County, by former DA Greg Totten, by former Sheriff Bob Brooks, all whom believe that I can help lead this county in a direction to bringing it back to where it used to be, one of the safest communities in America.
Thank you. Same question to you, Claudia.
Thank you. The top issues facing the future of Ventura County are safety, prosperity, and quality of life. They're all interconnected. Safety is paramount, and Thousand Oaks, under my leadership, has been one of the safest cities in California and in the nation, and continues to be one of the safest cities in the nation and the state. So we are also addressing homelessness, as I mentioned. Homelessness is directly tied to public safety and quality of life. We are doing something about that. The fact that there have been burglaries stems from the failure of leadership in the city of Los Angeles, including being in charge of public safety as deputy mayor, because all of those gangs are coming in from LA and coming into Ventura County. We don't want that. I don't want that at all. We must really stem the tide, and we, the City of Thousand Oaks, have always fully funded our police officers and our deputies. I too am endorsed by peace officers. I am endorsed by the National Latino Peace Officers Association. I'm also endorsed by our frontline workers, nurses, and doctors. But also what is mightily important is the environment and the open space in Ventura County. It's the very reason Ventura County was named one of the most desirable counties in the entire country by the Washington Post. That is not an accident.
Thank you, Claudia. On the VC Star, we're not going to do the rebuttals, but the reporter will do the follow-ups. So we'll give you the chance later on with the audience questions. Thank you. Kathleen?
So Jeff, you say that you want to lead in public safety. What are your specific proposals to change what's being done now?
Well, the first thing is about half of the budget is discretionary, and that is really the most important part of the budget in terms of the priorities of the community. And we need to have supervisors that put the priorities where they should be, and that is in public safety. So first and foremost, it's in the budgeting process for the Sheriff's Department, for the DA's department, and for the expenditures that we put aside for the jail. Those all need to be prioritized. The second thing is that the county of Ventura does a terrible job pulling down grants.
Time, Jeff. Sorry, 30 seconds on Kathleen's questions. It's same for both of you, sorry.
Can you restate the question, please?
Yeah. So, Kathleen, did you have a follow-up again for Jeff, or would you like to move on to Claudia?
Well, Jeff, it's my understanding that the budgets for public safety were set long ago in a deal between the county and the public safety unions. So isn't it pretty much set in stone?
That's not the case, no. It's revised every year as part of the budget process. The Sheriff's Department negotiates new budgets, and so does the Fire Department, and so does the DA's office. Every year it goes back and asks for additional increases or changes in the budget, and I've been part of that process.
Okay. Well, I believe it's highly tied to the sort of the cost of living. And there has not been a big fight to get more money by those departments.
But protecting public safety is more than just budgeting, and that's what I was trying to say. It's part of it. It's certainly prioritizing that part of this community so we can get back to being safe again. But it's also pulling down grant money that this county has utterly failed to pull down that could help us with dispatching 911 mental health vans like they have in a number of other cities. And that would help the police officers that spend enormous amounts of wall time in hospitals and mental dealing with the crises that are existing on our streets right now. Those are just some examples, and I could go on, but I believe I'm out of time.
Okay. Okay, and Claudia, do you have one thing that you're really looking at doing if you're elected? Your number one priority in January for Supervisor Claudia de la Pena?
Well, there is certainly a one priority, but they're all connected, and it is the quality of life. It is addressing the mental health treatments, and that is what we have started to do in Thousand Oaks, and that is what the Ventura County Board of Supervisors has done. What is also very critical, and the reason why Governor Newsom has already filled the seat of the late Carmen Ramirez, is there are crucial lawsuits that have been filed against the city by Big Oil, against the county by Big Oil. And I want to say again, I'm the only candidate not taking Big Oil money. They have sued the city, and policies need to be decided. It is absolutely crucial that Carmen Ramirez's seat was filled immediately, because the Board of Supervisors will make decisions regarding the quality of life and protecting public health. It is all about protecting public health. Nothing more important than Ventura County. Protecting public health, and that is why we need someone that is able to stand up to developers and special interests and Big Oil, and is not bought and paid for by those interests.
So I'm going to take a moment to explain to the audience the timing, because I realize I didn't do that before. We are giving the candidates 90 seconds for the opening of the questions from Kathleen Wilson. Candidates have a timer, and we're trying to keep up and keep reminding them to look at that. After the initial answer, Kathleen may choose to follow up as she did with Jeff, and then they get 30 seconds, and that we just keep doing it that way so that the candidate is not emboldened, let's say, either one of them to go on beyond that. So that's sort of our plan. They've had that in the invitations, but you could see we're just getting the bugs out as we go along. So with that, Kathleen, I turn it back to you.
Okay, my second question is, being a Monday morning quarterback of sorts, what's your assessment of how the Board of Supervisors handled the allegations against their longtime CEO, Mike Powers, and his departure?
Claudia, you're up first.
Of course, I'm going to comment as an outsider. There were closed sessions that were confidential information was discussed, obviously. And I think that the County Board of Supervisors did what they could with the information that they had at the time. And so should it have been caught earlier? Probably. Should there have been more safeguards? Probably. But I think that when it was discovered that something happened with the CEO, they took action, and it was handled, and we now have the first female physician, African-American woman in that position as a result of that, and I congratulate the county for selecting someone who is highly capable of running the organization as a CEO.
Clarification, the new CEO is not a physician.
Oh, okay, she is, well, she led
She holds an advanced degree in psychology.
Yes, thank you for that correction. Appreciate that.
Jeff?
The allegations against the CEO were well known for many months, if not years, prior to it erupting in the front pages of the public papers, and frankly, I think the action was not swift enough, and it's not a standalone situation. There's systemic challenges within the governance of our county. People have been put in place throughout county governance that are they're bureaucrats, and they don't have customer service mentality or ethos that they should. And these people have been put in place over the last 20 years by Steve Bennett and Linda Parks, and unfortunately don't support the innovations in the movement of our county like they should. Action should have been taken more swiftly, and I think that was a failure of our Board of Supervisors in that sense, and there's more work that needs to be done with other leadership within the county management system. I'd like to use the rest of my time to just say that Claudia talks about taking oil money. I looked through my donations this morning, and I've only found one check from Sempra, a San Diego-based natural gas company, for $750. This is not the money that's pouring into this campaign. It is not. The highest donors to my campaign are public safety. They're firefighters, they're police officers, they're small business owners up and down Thousand Oaks. These are people that are contributing to my campaign, individual neighbors. My family is my largest contributor, my mother and my father and other members of my family. So her allegations are absurd, and they're frankly offensive.
Thank you, Jeff. Kathleen?
Okay, I wouldn't necessarily say oil has really been pouring money into your campaign, but I do believe that Decor contributed to you during the primary. Do you, Claudia has clearly said, I'm just not going to accept money from them. Jeff, do you think that's a,
Look,
what do you think of that philosophy?
It's a political cliche, and it's just silly because, first of all, there's no oil production in the 2nd District, first of all. Secondly, no one intends in this campaign to open up our open space for oil drilling. It's absurd. That is not why I'm running for office. And I know that it benefits her to create this us versus them mentality and cliche, but it's toxic, and it's unhelpful to the political process. What I'm campaigning on is public safety. I'm campaigning on taking bold actions around homelessness, and
Thank you, Jeff.
And I'm campaigning around small business.
Thank you.
Does she get a rebuttal to that?
If you wish to ask her.
Yes, would you like to respond?
Yes. There are several oil executives have donated to your campaign, and besides that, it is clear that my donors don't have a self-interest, a financial self-interest in the future of Ventura County. There's a reason why these interests are supporting my opponent, because so much is at stake for the future of Ventura County. We're fighting and we're protecting public health. There are no active oil wells in District 2, but guess what? There are 5 votes to help the oil industry on the County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you,
and
Claudia.
so that
Thank
is
you.
absolutely important.
I'm going to have to stop you there. We are going to take the audience questions now. In many cases, I combined several of them to try and get to the questions. We're going to begin with housing. Claudia, you are up first on this question. Tell us, do you believe in putting the needs of the homeless over tax-paying citizens? And let's broaden that to also talk about how older adults are facing the rising cost of rent. They face eviction in mobile home parks. So as a supervisor, how would you address this issue? So share with us your plans about your thoughts on homeless and also providing housing for seniors.
So last night, the city of Thousand Oaks voted unanimously to start the first steps of establishing a navigation center in Thousand Oaks in the industrial area of Newberry Park. Yes, it takes taxpayer money to do that. Today we broke ground on the first permanent supportive housing facility to help the homeless. If the government doesn't do it, who will? Nobody else has the money to do it. Private entities try to do it. The churches are helping on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. But when we convened 16 different churches on our ad hoc committee in 2018, 2019, because we were wondering whether the churches could run an operation, they said, we'd like to help with dinners and warming shelters during the winter, but we are not equipped to run a full-time organization that provides healthcare and career training services. Churches are not equipped to do that. So who steps in? It has to be the government that steps in. So yes, we're using taxpayer dollars, but guess what? It's helping the economy, because businesses are sick and tired of seeing homeless in front of their store, and residents are complaining. Residents have been asking the city to do something about it, and we are doing something about it. The same cannot be said about what's been going on in Los Angeles.
So, and Jeff, same question to you. Share with us your thoughts about dealing with homeless and also providing housing for seniors.
We keep hearing about what has been done about homeless, but Claudia has a 20-year record of voting against new housing, including very popular senior housing. She voted against the housing element, which is required by the city council under law. It was negotiated by bipartisan city council members, and she voted against it. She prides herself in voting against all these, and now is trying to claim some credit for taking advantage of some opportunities with homelessness. But if you drive around Thousand Oaks, I ask you to tell yourself, are things better? Are things better than they were when she came 20 years ago to city council, or are they worse? And I suggest to you they're much worse in Ventura County than they were when she started 20 years ago, as well as public safety. Public safety, is it better now than it was 20 years ago? I suggest to you, no, it is not. We don't have the same safety that we used to have in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our communities that we did 20 years ago. I want to focus on it with the confines of Boise case. It's Martin v. Boise. It's pretty clear. It's a federal case. It tells us what we can and can't do as local governments. I've studied it. I understand where it's succeeded and where it's failed, and where cities like Los Angeles, there's no way they could come back from it because their point-in-time count, their pit count, so high. Ventura County, and Thousand Oaks in particular, we can get ahead of it if we follow the instructions in that Boise case and the roadmap that court provided us. But it's going to require bold action, which has not been taken by the supervisors or the council.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Claudia, you have the option to rebut if you wish.
I would like to rebut. I've not
30
voted against senior housing. That is completely incorrect. I have voted for housing quite a bit, but I've also pushed for an inclusionary housing ordinance since 2009, but I was always in the minority on the Thousand Oaks City Council. And let's remember that in 2012, we lost our funding from the redevelopment agency, which provided for affordable housing. That went away, and we have been struggling to provide affordable housing ever since. I have to say, from a 7-year record of failed public safety in LA,
Claudia.
to say that about
Just keep an eye on the
Thousand
timer,
Oaks
please, so I
okay,
don't have to cut
thank
you off. And Jeff, you have the option of a rebuttal if you wish.
Yeah, thank you. I work down in Los Angeles, but at the end of the day, laboring to try to make a difference down in a very global, very challenged second largest city in America, the pride I took in getting in my car and driving back to Ventura County and recognizing the amazing blessings that we have here. That's one of the reasons why I'm running. It's because I really want to be part of the solution to make sure that we can preserve our quality of life and that we don't become what I had to see down there every day in the San Fernando Valley and LA.
Thank you. Jeff, you're up first on this next question. We're going to shift to the economy. And Ventura County, Jeff, what do you think should be done to help rebuild and attract local businesses? And do you feel that the oil and gas, if we remove it, that'll hurt the economy?
First of all, what we need to do is take the highest level leadership in economic development that we're currently not doing. At the city level and at the county level, we're staffing out economic development, the creation of jobs to staff. It really should be at the highest level. Under former governors, it used to be called red teams. In 2013, Lieutenant Governor then Gavin Newsom and I created Gold Team California, which was an organization that brought together all of the right people to go out and try to attract and retain the best jobs that we could, given the challenges of the state. I've already announced that as soon as I'm elected, I'll be launching Gold Team Ventura County, and that will be me as an elected official and the Board of Supervisors teaming up with other elected officials like Jackie Irwin, who I've already talked to about this in our state legislative office, as well as our local electeds, our economic development professionals, our utilities, which often have leverage to do economic development tools, and our labor unions collectively going and working and understanding better the challenges of business locally, but going and working and try to attract new businesses that belong here, that would fit here, that have the right profile. Aerospace tech, defense tech, health tech, and obviously the continued expansion of biotech and life sciences, all of these really fit here for various reasons, but we just need champions to go out there, not defer to staff, but to go out there themselves and sell Ventura County as the next place to bring their jobs.
Thank you, Jeff. Claudia, same question to you. What will you do to rebuild and attract local businesses? And do you think eliminating gas and oil will improve the economy?
Eliminating gas and oil will come with time. It takes time. You cannot abruptly stop it. And that is why the Ventura County Board of Supervisors has implemented certain distances from schools and residential areas. And that is what the oil industry is fighting. The Ventura County Board of Supervisors is trying to protect the health of the public where these oil wells are active. Now, let me tell you, in Santa Paula, Fillmore, in that area where the oil wells are active, the life expectancy of those residents is 12 years less than here in Thousand Oaks. Why? Because of those oil wells. That is why the elected supervisors have a responsibility to implement policy to protect those lives. It is, after all, about environmental justice as well. In terms of attracting business, Thousand Oaks has rolled out the red carpet for the biotech and life sciences industry. We can do the same at the county level. And I want to say that the reason biotech wants to be here is because of the amenities we have, the open space, the ag industry, all of that, thanks to Linda Parks and thanks to Steve Bennett, who have passed SOAR. That is the reason why people love it in this area.
Thank you. Jeff, rebuttal?
Those who wish economic development and job creation are supporting me. And that includes unions and business coming together. I've been endorsed by the Conejo Valley Chamber of Commerce Business, and I've been endorsed by the Tri-County Building and Construction Trade Laborers. I've been endorsed by the Teamsters. I've been endorsed by the iron workers. I've been endorsed by the electrical workers. I've been endorsed by people that want to see new ideas about attracting the next generation of jobs to Ventura County, people who want to see innovation, people who want to see projects that make sense to this community.
Claudia, would you like to rebut?
Yes, I too have endorsements from the 805 local carpenters, but I also have endorsements from those unions, the hard-working families and nurses that are the backbone of this industry. I am the only candidate in this race who is a small business owner. I know about business. I do, as does my husband. So we have to remember that we have to protect our environment. People have to be healthy. That is why some of these big industries want to be here.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. Claudia, you're up first. And this question is dealing with women's autonomy. And I want to point out to the audience that probably the biggest expense within the county budget is the county's healthcare agency, which provides medical services, doctor training, and other things. So I think the question is relevant. Claudia, some believe that there should be no limit on a woman's right to control her own body. Others say that some limits are necessary and those limits must be enforced. What is your position?
I am the only candidate in this race for supervisor who is endorsed by Planned Parenthood. I am pro-choice. They endorse me, no one else. I feel very strongly that a woman has the right to choose what to do with her own body. That is something that she needs to decide. This is something a decision between her, her family, and her doctor. And I will do all I can to preserve and protect access to women's health care in Ventura County.
Thank you. Jeff,
I am endorsed by the SEIU registered nurses, by the way, the only one who have that endorsement.
Thank you. Jeff, same question to you. Some believe that there should be no limits on a woman's right to control her own body. Others say there should be limits and they should be enforced. What do you believe?
I don't anticipate this being an issue at the Board of Supervisors in the state of California. It's not the reason why I'm running to affect outcomes on this issue. I happen to be pro-choice. I have been my entire adult life. It's well recorded and my vote is well known. But I don't believe that that's the reason why I'm running, and I don't believe that that's what's going to be affected. Because supervisors don't make that decision. That decision is made at the legislative level and at the congressional level.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
Yeah, the rebuttal is that during his years in the Assembly, my opponent had a 90% approval rating from the Pro-Life Coalition or Council of California.
There are some abortions that are so graphic that they don't warrant being supported. I perhaps voted with my conscience on a number of bills, but I'm pro-choice and have been my entire adult life.
Thank you. Jeff, you'll be up first on this next question. Let's talk about infrastructure. Two things that concern the residents of Ventura County is what's going on with water, what can be done to alleviate the drought and preserve our quality of life, and also transportation. How do you feel about active transportation plans? In 2014, I was co-author of the California State Water Bond and went to voters, and it was supported statewide by 82% of the voters in the state of California. It had a number of different conveyance infrastructure upgrades, as well as storage above ground and below ground. I've already begun to speak with some state legislative leaders about the next generation of bonds to take out so that we can build the next generation of infrastructure, which would bring greater benefit to Southern California, and that would be in my intention as a leader on the Board of Supervisors, would be to work with the state to do that. But water conservation and addressing water is an issue, is a multifaceted. It's everything from education and outreach. For conservation, it's desal. I was an attorney assigned to the very first desal project proposed in the county of Ventura, and it was just finally approved recently down in Camarillo, the desalter. We can do a lot with the brackish water and to treat the brackish water and to make that usable for agriculture and for golf courses and for the other things that people want to keep in Ventura County. We need to do recapture with water and be able to do that. But first and foremost, it's
It's getting better infrastructure, upgrading our infrastructure to store above ground storage, below ground storage, and conveyance. And I understand it. I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
Thank you. Claudia, same question to you. Transportation and water.
We actually have way too much water running into the ocean, and that we have to stop that. We have to improve our stormwater capture and all the water that we are using. The City of Thousand Oaks has actually entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Las Virgenes Water District, for example, to invest in infrastructure, pipelines, to help treat water, wastewater, and make it drinkable. And so this is the sort of forward thinking that we need in order to help ourselves, because we obviously can't rely on Sacramento anymore. And so it's up to us to find ways to preserve water, to capture storm water, and to make sure that we have all the water that we need. That requires a multi-agency approach. It also requires working with the state for funding. But what we're doing with the Las Virgenes Water District, the City of Thousand Oaks, and Callejas, certainly we want to replicate that in other areas of the county, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Desalination plant, for me, is a last resort because it raises the rate of water exponentially. It's also harmful to the environment. I would use that as a last resort. And I want to say that in terms of water and infrastructure, when it comes to that, I am supported. I am the one with all of the environmental credentials and support and endorsement by Fran Pavley.
Thank you. Jeff, you indicated rebuttal?
The California consumes more power and energy doing one thing than anything else, and that's moving water. It is the greatest environmental impact that the state of California does. It's moving water and the power that required moving it east and west, and definitely north and south. The more that it may require energy to desalinate, and if it makes sense, you can do it inland. You don't have to do it on the coast. If it makes sense to do that, it could greatly benefit the environment. And
Thank you, Jeff. Gonna have to stop you there. I know that 30 seconds goes quickly. Claudia, did you want to rebut, or should we move on?
No, I'll pass.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Kathleen now for another question from the Star.
Right. Do you support the removal of Junipero Serra's image from the county seal?
And Jeff, you're up first.
No, I don't.
Can you say why?
Well, it's a piece of California history, and I just have come to the conclusion it's not the issue that we have made it.
And Claudia?
I'm glad the county removed the image of Junipero Serra.
Why?
For reasons that I think are very clear. The influence wasn't all that positive. A big price and a very big sacrifice was made with his influence in our area, and I believe that it was a good thing to remove it.
Thank you. We'll now go back, and Claudia, you're up first on this question. So one of the things that we know is going on in Ventura County and around the country is this polarization. Some of it is around racism, some of it is around equity and diversity and inclusion. Claudia, you'll be one vote if you are elected. How will you try to bring this county together and work with your colleagues from both sides of the political spectrum?
I am endorsed by 3 supervisors, in fact, 7 current or former supervisors, because they know my work ethic. They've worked with me over 20 years, and they know exactly what I am capable of. And so I will have no problem working with anyone, regardless of background or political persuasion. I think there's so much disinformation on social media that it really has tainted the minds of many, many residents. People cannot tell what is true, what is fake, and that is very difficult to tackle. I want to say about racism and DEI, when the city of Thousand Oaks was invaded, not once but twice, by white supremacists unfurling a banner over the Orchard Road overpass with the 14 words, it was absolutely horrendous. The first time it happened, I was so upset that I wanted to pass an anti-hate resolution. I asked to see if there would be a co-author. I didn't find a co-author, and I forced the issue on the agenda in a very different way. And it was a way where I had to burn a couple of bridges, but it was necessary because we needed to send a message that people of color in our community need to feel safe. And businesses, biotech, for example, they don't want to see those sorts of news in the newspaper. They will have trouble attracting talent. So we voted on it. It was a 4-0 vote. It wasn't unanimous.
Thank you. Jeff, same question to you, as far as your perspective about working and dealing with these issues like DEI, racism, and just building some bridges around the county to work from both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah, I do it every day. I'm a captain of the United States Navy. I'm a regional commander. I oversee 23 different Navy units made up of 1,600 sailors and officers in 17 states. I have a full-time active duty staff that helps me do that. One of the things that we value in the military is that we don't really care where you come from or what your political background is or what you look like or your religion. We want to integrate you and make you part of the team, and we want you to feel welcomed. And I think that's the first and foremost thing that we have to do here in Ventura County, is to just reaffirm that we stand against racism. We do not tolerate it, period. And we are a community that welcomes all, and that we support diversity, and that diversity is healthy. And those things, first and foremost, need to be communicated by its leaders. I've worked in Republican administrations, I've worked in Democrat administrations, I've worked with folks from all different walks of life, and I have a leadership experience doing so and being very effective. When I was a prosecutor, I was in a unit that prosecuted hate crimes and also white supremacist crimes of violence out in Simi Valley that were taking place at that time, and I had no problem doing that. I hope we don't have to resort to those kind of things, but this is not a community that supports racism, and this is not a racist community. There are some elements that seem to pop up, and we need to make sure that we denounce it and ask them to move on, because that's not what this community stands for.
Thank you. Claudia, any rebuttal?
Yes, racism exists everywhere, including in Thousand Oaks, which is why we had to pass an anti-hate resolution to send a message and to start a roundtable discussion with stakeholders in order to see how we can bridge this gap and how we can come together as a community. This roundtable discussion will continue, and I'm glad that that was born out of the anti-hate resolution. But if we don't send a strong message about that racism and white supremacy and anti-Semitism is not tolerated, we are sending the wrong message. It is vitally important to the economy to do that.
Sorry, Claudia, 30 seconds are up. Jeff, would you like to rebut?
I would just say that I have worked with organizations like Life After Hate that are made up of previous white supremacists, skinheads, and they're organized to create these kind of stakeholder groups and talk through some of these things. It is beneficial for maybe individuals to go through this process, but as a community, I think we just need to stand up and denounce racism when we see it, and stand up and say that all are welcomed here, and always have been, and always will be. I don't necessarily believe that it's the right thing to label us a racist community. I don't think that most of us are.
Thank you. Candidates, I don't have time to do another full-length question, so with your permission, I'm going to just give you 1 minute for this next question and no rebuttals. Jeff, you're up first on this one. Can you say one thing you like about or admire in your opponent?
I've known Claudia for 20 years, and I do think she's an affable person. I've always enjoyed working together. At times when we've had to work together, she was gracious in my successes in the past, posting congratulatory messages for me. And I do think that she's an affable person and has a good heart, and I do appreciate that, those characteristics about her.
Thank you. Claudia, can you say one thing you like or admire about your opponent?
Well, I do respect very much your service in the Navy Reserves. That is to be commended, and it shows your dedication to your country.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to begin our closing statements. We're going to do it in the reverse order that we did in the beginning. Jeff, you'll have 90 seconds when you're ready. Anytime.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, candidates, no rebuttals on closing statements either, okay? So, whenever you're ready, Jeff.
All right, thank you. So I'm running for office primarily because of Jack and Stephen. Those are my two boys. Jack is 13 and Stephen is 8. And that's the next generation. And I think to myself, what kind of Ventura County are they going to see when they get to the age where they can make the decision of whether they want to stay here or whether they're going to have to move away or want to move away? I want Jack and Stephen to have the opportunity to be able to stay here. I want them to want to stay here. I want them to enjoy the quality of life that we all enjoy. I want them to have access to the kind of jobs and middle class, middle wage, family wage employment that that would allow them to be able to afford to live here in what is otherwise a very unaffordable community. I want them to feel safe in their schools. I want them to feel safe in their community. And I want them to be able to appreciate the things that brought me to Ventura County and to be able to stay here as a result. So I'm determined to bring leadership to the Board of Supervisors to forge that goal and to work with my fellow supervisors, strategic planning, what do we want to look like 5, 10, 15 years from now, and build that Ventura County and bring to bear the leadership skills that I've learned in a combat zone, in a courtroom, in the California State Assembly, representing each and every one of you. And I'm excited about that opportunity. I really am. And I look forward to having that opportunity after November. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do the applause after this. Hold on. Thank you. Claudia, when you're ready, your closing statement.
The voters of Thousand Oaks have put their trust in me time and again, giving me the most votes in my races for the last 3 elections. They believe in my fairness. They believe in my ethics. I have an open mind, and I am fair, having been a journalist for a long time. I look at both sides, and I do the research. I do not rubber stamp, and I'm certainly independent. I am not beholden to anyone. I have support from conservatives as well as from the left. Across the board, I have support because they know that I stand up to bullies. I do not cave in to special interests. That has been really my mantra the entire 20 years, being a voice for those who are not always heard, being an advocate for seniors, for the underserved, and really that, and of course the environment. And I have been a strong advocate for business and the economy as well. I do have children here as well, and I want them to live here and be able to afford it here. But I also know that it has to be accessible to everyone. Starting from our unsheltered population all the way to the very top. Everybody needs to have a seat at the table. I am supported by everyone who has made major decisions in Ventura County.
Thank you, Claudia.
And I ask for your vote. Thank you.
I have an important announcement, but before that, let's give them both a great round of applause. We are right on schedule. Thank you, candidates. We are going to do a second forum starting at 8 o'clock with the candidates for Thousand Oaks City Council. All 10 candidates have agreed to be here tonight, so we're excited about that. And then I also want to point out that we're very grateful to Kathleen and the Ventura County Star for their support. How about a round for Kathleen? And we cannot pull this off at the League without all of our volunteers. That includes Pat Butler, Pat Essick, Maddie Park, Kathy Morgan, Wayne Morgan, Cheryl Collard, and Roger Essick, and also our friends and colleagues over at AAUW Thousand Oaks. We had 2 volunteers, Diane Birchman and Betty Stapleford. How about a big round for them? Thank you very much. That concludes this. Candidates for City Council, please come and line up on that far wall, and we'll get you seated in just a moment. Thank you all.